Hi, my name is Shannon and I am one of the 4 girls in our media group Blue Sky Productions. In this podcast I am going to be talking about my individual experience and overview of media. Before taking this A-level subject, I believe that as an individual I was not very knowledgeable regarding the amount of equipment necessary to create a film introduction. On creating my group psychological thriller, I needed to learn how to use the camera and tripod, which included researching further into shots and angles to see how effective they were. I was surprised how easy it was to use a tripod, as I imagined it would be fairly difficult. However, after learning different heights and positions, I found the tripod accessible and pretty simple to master. I thought that the tripod really made a positive impact on my media video, as I was able to create lots of different angles and effects, such as a rising action and an attempted pan effect. Whilst using a camera, I found the process very difficult, as there were many different models that we used during filming, and therefore there were different formats for each model. There were many different buttons and switches on the cameras, and this overly made it hard to master at first. However, after a few attempts, I found the camera manageable to use, and it really did help to create the tension that I initially wanted in our introduction. I was able to use the camera to create zoom-in effects, which were really useful in our thriller. Through the process of constructing our product, I also had to learn how to use Prelim, which was our editing software. This software allowed me to make adaptations to my psychological thriller, which included title introductions, cropping, adding face to white and black, adding and subtracting sound, including tense music, and changing the colour of our flashback scene. When I first started using Prelim, I found the process fairly difficult, as I had never used it before. However, after learning the basics, I found the editing stages extremely enjoyable. I was able to make my film a lot more effective through the use of Prelim, and I think it had a massive impact on our overall product. Moreover, one of the most important technologies that I have been exposed to through taking this course is Blogger. Blogger allowed me and my group to update work on a regular basis in a neat and ordered format. Before taking media, I had never used Blogger, and through learning how to use the site, whilst also gaining a greater understanding of how to perform uploads, this was extremely helpful. Without the use of Blogger, I have no idea how I would have managed to keep my work so neat and tidy without losing or missing out crucial information. I was extremely surprised about the amount of effort that actually goes into making a film. Before media, I never really took much notice in the production that goes into making just a few small clips. I did not realise how many different shots and angles were needed, and therefore I was totally surprised whilst learning more about the steps taken to make a video. When watching clips on a more current basis, I find myself analysing them a lot more, making critical judgments and spotting out a range of different shots and angles used and why. I now appreciate forms of media a lot more due to the amount of technology that is actually needed in this long process. Before the creation of our 2-minute psychological thriller, each member of our group had to carry out a preliminary task. The task was to walk from a corridor into a classroom and then to sit down and have a conversation with one of our friends. The purpose of this task was to allow us to explore Prelim and to also come to terms with the shots that were required in this example. We used full shots, medium close-up and close-up shots. Now that I look back on my preliminary task, which seems such a long time ago, I think I have gained a lot of knowledge regarding filming and different techniques that can be used. If I was to redo my preliminary task, I think there would be multiple things that I would do differently in order to make it a better quality piece of work. There are a few problems with the lighting and the matching up of scenes, showing a lack of continuity. Through analysing different pieces of coursework, it is becoming increasingly apparent to me that in some of my old pieces of work I had produced, there were continuity problems. Another problem that I realised regarding my preliminary coursework was the positioning of the camera. In a few shots, you can only really see one side of the girls' faces, and therefore this takes emphasis away from the expressions that they are trying to convey. If I was to redo my preliminary coursework, I think I would spend more time trying to position the camera more accurately so that the girls' expressions could have been captured more accurately. Overall, I think that my preliminary coursework was successful from the terms of a first-time attempt. However, now that I have more experience in how to use the camera and knowing more about problems that can occur, this makes me very hypocritical and judgmental regarding my work. I do not think this is a bad thing, as this analysis allows me to improve my current work and make it the best of its capacity. I think that media is a real ongoing process where what you learn over a certain amount of time really allows you to form a judgment regarding your own work and how you can make improvements. Media analysis has really allowed me to view clips from a whole new perspective, and therefore I am a lot more appreciative or judgmental of them. Throughout the whole process, I think that I was most good at what I was most good at was editing our film. After everything was recorded, I really enjoyed sitting down and making continuous changes to my work in order to make it the best it possibly could be. My least successful attempt was directing the film, because at times I did find myself becoming impatient when I did not film clips effectively. I think to be a successful filmmaker, you have to be a very patient individual with lots of time to spend on making adaptations to editing. You have to be good at working in a team whilst also having independent qualities to achieve certain effects yourself. My thoughts about working in a team are very much split. I think most importantly, I've really enjoyed working in a team. It's so lovely to have people around you who share the same pressures when the work becomes extreme. More positively, it is really amazing to share filming successes with your group, realising how much you have achieved since the beginning of the course procedure together. The work is a lot less pressurising when it is split between a group of girls, and therefore I've totally enjoyed the time I've spent working with a group. However, on the other hand, I do prefer being solely responsible for the failures or successes of my work. It's hard to achieve this whilst working in a group. The key of making teamwork effective is splitting the pieces equally between the people in the group. This is achieved through sitting down and analysing the amount of work that is left to do and making compromises regarding what is remaining. In conclusion, if I ever had the opportunity to do this type of work again, I would. Although at times it can be extremely stressful, the final outcome is more than worth it. Through taking media, I feel that I've explored a whole different world and received so much in return regarding my educational understanding. Thank you for listening.